Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
For how long do we keep on saying Happy New Year?
Until you have met everybody who you normally deal with, it's still a Happy New Year.
And Merry Christmas, some of that's gone.
That's gone now. That's gone now. We're now in a new year. Yes. Yes.
So welcome to another episode of Akile Quick One. It's a new year. It's 2024. And we are very honored to have a very exemplary, distinguished advocate of the High Court of many years.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
So just introduce yourself.
My name is Richard Omwela. I am the senior partner of this firm until this month.
Yeah.
I've been here ever since I left school.
Yeah.
Ever since I left law school, I've never known what it is like to work anywhere else. So HHM has been my life from when I started practice until now.
So I thought you were going to say OGW.
OGW is also there, but I hardly use the OGW because, I don't know, does it add value to my life? No.
I mean, you've earned it.
It's a recognition, yes, but I see a lot of people adding it after their name. I've never had to do that, but I just hope that you know who I am for who I am.
So let me just speak from where what you said. You've been here for 40 years, and you're transitioning. So on what role are you going to transition to?
Let me start from the beginning then. I joined the firm as a student, as a pupil, then became an associate, became a senior associate, became partner, salaried partner, became equity partner, then became managing partner, and became senior partner. So in terms of leadership in the firm, there is nothing I haven't done. What will I be doing now? Just now step back and practice law in a quiet corner where I don't have to be involved in the leadership. I don't have to be involved in the running of the firm. It's a nice, quietful way to begin your retirement, so to speak.
So let me just pick the conversation from where you've left. You said you started from the way you left school. You came straight here and you've been here for all those many years.
Yes.
I mean, for as long as all of us here have been alive, your practice of law is as long as our age here.
Absolutely.
And I'm just curious. Why didn't the thought of you set up your own entity ever come? Has it ever arisen?
It has never crossed my mind because it's been such a relief to work in a place where you know, even if you're not here, work of the client is being done. Can you imagine a one-man law firm where, if, for example, you're taken ill or you fall under a bus, everything stops? That's a situation I've never wanted to be in. I've always wanted to make sure that clients' work is being done not just by you, but by people who are with you, making sure that the clients, don't have a situation where something has stopped because you're not there. Many years ago, there's a lawyer who was handling a very large transaction for some Chinese, and she passed on, and she was the sole signatory to the account. Can you imagine they lost that transaction? I've never would have wanted to be in that position where you totally disrupt a client's operation. So that's why I've never had the thought of doing, but I've had many offers to leave and join someone else. But I've always said, if it's working, why fix it, or why change it? Yeah.
So, and I'm so sure for all those many years, you've had very memorable moments here. And of course, you're going to say many of them have been memorable, but of course there has to be a few that really stand out. Do you mind maybe mentioning some of the memorable
in terms of transactions?
No, not really. Not because sometimes it's you start as a working relationship, then it grows into many more other relationships. So, but as part of Dentons and HHM, what are some of the most memorable moments you've had here?
Quite frankly, when I joined the firm, it was an English firm, so to speak. There were more white people in the firm than blacks in terms of the partners and even the associates. Over the years, believe it or not, now we have more blacks than any other color. So for me, it's been a transition. It's been a journey, very, very rewarding journey, and it's been quite memorable, so to speak.
Yeah. Now, there's something we normally do in this show. I think we just started from the highlights of the story of today has taken us all those steps. Let's go back to the younger Omwela. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to primary school? How was your childhood?
Interesting. You know, whenever I speak to people, they believe that I'm a Nairobi boy. No, I grew up in the village, out in Vihiga. I went to school. I went to a local school in Vihiga called Ebsidoli. That's where I did my primary school. Graduated from there, so to speak, and went to Kakamega High School for my A's and O's and A's. And then from there to University of Nairobi. So to speak, other than having had one visit to see my elder brother who was working at Cooper Motors, my first real life in Nairobi started when I came to University of Nairobi in 1976.
So let me ask you, are you guys doing O levels and A levels?
Yes.
And you did it at Kakamega?
Yes, we did O levels for 4 years and then A levels for 2 years.
Yeah. Same school?
Same school, yeah.
And were you always the kid who was number one?
No, I must confess, even in primary, there was a kid who was smarter than me and I couldn't beat him. I couldn't beat him, whatever I did. And when I went to Kakamega High, again, a different kid. The one we were with in primary school went to Lenana. But when, for some reason, I went to Kakamega, I met some James boy who gave me a lot of help. So I've never really, I can't say I've been number one, but never beyond number three, so to speak.
I'm so sure you always tell that to your kids.
Of course, they have to know that Daddy was a smart guy. Absolutely, yes, yes.
And then you transitioned to the University of Nairobi.
Yes.
What did you do NYS or that
No,
that transition?
NYS came much later. Thank God. I would have had to go to Naivasha, but no, that came I think during the Moi time. As we were actually Kenyatta guys. Yes, as we were Kenyatta guys. The first graduation Moi did was us because Kenyatta had just passed on. So we never had the opportunity to go to Naivasha, and thank God we didn't go through that.
And so from the university, you get to Kenya School of Law, or during your period there was no Kenya School of Law?
There was Kenya School of Law.
Yeah.
In fact, we had to the whole year at Kenya School of Law. We had a 6 months attachment to a law firm and another 6 months in-house training at the school. And the school was not in Karen where it is now. It is up Ngong Road, just as you head towards Hurlingham on the left. That's where the School of Law was. Those days we would come to town in one bus, of course we were only 39, and go back for lunch at the school and come back to chambers, so to speak. So the chambers then was Hamilton Harrison Mathews.
So there's a time we shot an earlier episode with what's his name, Chacha Odera.
Chacha, my
and
friend.
He told us you guys were paid to read. Is that the truth?
That
Kenya
is,
School of Law.
Yes, we used to get a monthly salary. In fact, for some of us who came from poor backgrounds, so to speak, we were using that money to pay school fees for our siblings. And I know many of my classmates were doing exactly that, because you had food, you had a place to sleep, you had chambers to go to, you had transport. So this money was just extra cash to hang around with. So we actually spent some of that money educating our siblings, so to speak, for those who were not able to afford school fees and to buy books and stuff like that. Yeah.
Did you have a nightlife at that time?
Limited nightlife. There was nightlife, of course. Having come from campus, of course, we had gone through that. And by the way, those days, life was good. Life was cheap. Archer's cabs, to take an Archer's cab was about 20 bob.
What is an Archer's cab? I
It
mean,
was-
guys here don't know.
Okay, those days it was like Kenatco taxis. They were called Archer's cabs. There was a company running just taxis, and they were called Archers. And for 20 bob, they'll take you to law school and take you to hang out and bring you back. I mean, it was amazing. If you had $100 and you didn't have a date, you can actually have a couple of beers and come back home.
How much was beer?
7 bob or thereabouts.
7 bob?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yes, it was a good life.
That was a good life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely good life.
I wish you went back to those days.
I know. 7 bob can't buy you a Fanta these days. No.
I mean, yeah.
No, it can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you transition from. So first you used to start at the law firm, then you go to
Yes.
Kenya School of Law.
Yes, because we now would go and study for the exams. And the whole idea was that you must have some idea of how a law firm works. You had to go through a litigation department, commercial department, and that time we had also conveyancing department. So that when you go to law school, you have an idea of what happens in a law firm and what are the subject areas that you want to practice, and learning the ropes of how a law firm works. So yes, we did law firm first, then law school, did your exams, and then the law firm can decide whether you are joining them or whether they let you loose to go somewhere else.
And now, having done that, having gone through that process, and having been a managing partner here, where you take in pupils after the Kenya School of Law experience, which system do you think fits better?
I think it's unfair to pick students straight from uni to bring them into pupillage, because you need to see where you fit in terms of what areas of law do you like. I still would like to see a scenario where a pupil is attached to the law firm. They get to know, maybe they might decide they don't want to practice law after all. I would have liked to see a system where they go through a law firm, get to know the areas of practice, and get to decide, is this really what I want? Rather than go to law school and you are thrown in a law firm and you don't know whether you really want to practice law, or you want to be a magistrate, or you want to be a state counsel, or you want to go to a corporate entity. So I think if I were to reverse it, I would do it the same way we did. We learned a lot more before we sat exams to decide whether we want to practice or whether we want to go somewhere else.
So that I don't lose the next the point. So when you're looking for the fit that is going to come here, when you're taking in students straight from law school, what are some of the things that you look at when someone wants to come and do their pupillage here?
Normally we actually, flashback. In my days, law firms used to come and interview us at university. Yes. Law firms used to come to interview us. I got interviewed by Kaplan and Stratton. I got interviewed by Daly and Figgis. I got interviewed by HHM. And then you decide, of those three, the largest law firms, then where should I go? So I chose HHM. So right now we receive and shortlist applications. There was a time we used to work with the University of Nairobi for the dean to send us, for example, the top 20 or top 10, whatever. And then we'll see whether we can interview them for purposes of pupillage. But now we receive applications, we review applications, and we then interview the shortlist of those applications. Totally different, but because of the numbers now and the number of universities available offering LLM, LLB degrees, it's quite a daunting task to interview people, but we shortlist and then we do the interviews.
So you've always been a guy for top law firms. Daly interviewing you.
Well, not really the top, but they were the big law firms then. There were other small law firms and so on. So yeah, but they were really the top law firms then. So
after that, you come here and you start your journey from here. Just tell me some of how the transition was from. I hope I don't lose the next point because sometimes we say a prophet is never appreciated until, because I've seen people get into an entity, they feel they're not appreciated, go out, and then come back.
Yeah.
So maybe you can talk in those lines.
I joined the firm by accident when I had finished my pupillage. On the last day of my pupillage, I went around saying goodbyes to people because I had got another job elsewhere. They had not offered me a job. And when I went to the partner in charge of litigation, one Richard Otieno Kwach, I went to his office to say goodbye. And he asked me, young man, where do you think you're going? And he told me, I told him, you guys have given me a job, so I'm going to be a state counsel. So he said, you must be joking. Why haven't we given you a job? I said, well, it is what it is. So he called the then administrator and dictated my appointment letter in my presence. And he asked me, how much are they offering you at state law firm? And I told them it was 6,000 then. And he doubled it. So I said at 12,000 bob instead of 6,000. And he told me to wait until the letter was typed so that I could go home with it. That's how my life started in HHM.
Were you the highest paid at that time?
At that time, yes. 12,000 bob was a lot of money, considering the rent was about 3,000 bob then in Nairobi West, where I'm sure Chacha told you we lived. So that's how I got into HHM and got into litigation. Actually, I litigated for 12 years in the firm, doing magistrate's course, doing high court matters, occasionally doing court of appeal matters, before I then relocated to commercial part of the firm. Yeah, so it's been quite a journey for me.
And in those transitions, because you said you did litigation, then from litigation you went to commercial. I see a lot of us, especially our generation. My co-host Johnson has never stepped into a court of law.
Yeah.
He really specialized quite early in life. I have also specialized quite early in life. Is it advantageous for you to specialize at the honest, or do you need to take a bit of time for you to figure out what it is that you want to do? Which is in your experience, which system is better?
If you ask me honestly, the lessons I learned in litigation helped me in commercial. Litigation is about a deal gone wrong. It's about a deal that has gone wrong. Now, if you have been to court and you have litigated over a transaction that went wrong, and you are now advising on a transaction, what you're looking for is what can possibly go wrong. And that hindsight gives you a better leverage than some of our colleagues who have never done court matters, because yes, you are putting in clauses that if went to litigation, they won't stand the test of time. But if you have been in there, you have cross-examined people on those clauses, you have a better idea on how to structure a deal that will not end up in litigation. If it does end up in litigation, you make sure that your client comes out the better of that litigation because of what you have put in that contract or in that transaction document. So an honest answer would be people should have an opportunity to have a feel of litigation, and then to have a feel of conveyancing, commercial, and then decide where exactly do you want to fit in. Many years ago, one of my partner's friends got a notice show cause document, and there was panic around because he thought the guy is going to be arrested the following day to go to court. And when we told him, no, this is just a notice show cause, he said, no, but they're saying he has to go to court. I said, yes, because to show cause why this should not happen. Now, if I had a client like that, I'd tell, don't worry, we're good. We're good. So it does help a great deal with that sort of background to know what can be litigated and what a notice of motion is, what a chamber summons is. Most of the guys just have no clue.
Interesting. So just back to the other point that I had asked you. Maybe now let me be very specific.
Yeah.
Do you think that had you left, gone somewhere else, then come back, you'd have risen the ranks faster than how it has taken you?
It could be, yes. Sometimes, as you say, profit is never appreciated at home. Sometimes you feel that if you left, you'll be appreciated more when they now deal with you on the outside. So maybe if I had left and come back, I would have risen faster. But for me, it's not a question of rising fast. It's a question of earning the respect to progress from one position to another, and not how quickly you get there. Yes, you can be very fast, but is that really what you want? Have you learned enough to get to the next level of your life? So for me, a gradual rise is what I feel is good for in any community or in a corporate organization.
Now, having sat here for over 40 years, right? You said it's 40 years.
43 to be exact.
43.
Yeah.
There are lessons that you've learned. There are lessons that you carry with you. And we have a situation where nowadays people come straight from law school, they get admitted to the bar, and they go straight into forming their own entities. What are some of the lessons what are some of the things that you would tell them to maybe have a focus on? And do you think that is really a good idea? First of all, do you think it's a good idea?
It's a good and bad idea. All of us in life can never be at the same stage. There are people who are different in terms of how they approach life, how they want to do things. I've done a lot of trainings for the Law Society. I've done trainings on how to manage a law firm. And when we look at managing a law firm or client care or risk management, I've done a lot of talks to the members of Law Society for trainings. It helps a lot if you start from a position where you are not the only person who is making a decision in an organization. And when I was talking about managing law firms, I've told them about a law firm where the managing partner is in charge of finance, is in charge of client care, is in charge of recruitment, is in charge of firing. You are one in one. And I think it's a bad place to be in. But to do a startup, yes, but what do you know about running a law firm? What do you know about running an organization? If you straight from school, you go and set up a law firm because your dad is rich, that your dad has financed you to start a law firm, but do you really know what you're getting into? We've got scenarios where people start a law firm, they have no clue the difference between client account and office account. They commingle funds, and before you know it, court number one is waiting. So as a start, I think it would be nice to join a law firm, and then once you know how to run a law firm, branch off once you have enough clients and set up on your own or with friends, whatever the choice might be. So if you're asking me, I would want to do that. But again, in life, people are different.
Hey, so how many guys are in this firm? Do you have an idea? Like
in terms of, okay, we always say 60 plus in terms of what we call admitted advocates. We give or take people, you know how the world is now. We have transitions, we have incoming, and so on. When we're looking at the numbers, we never count, for example, the non-trained lawyers who are within the firm, and we have a number who are going through that process. If we're looking at trained law firms, trained advocates and lawyers, we could be about 80 to 100, give or take.
So that is such a huge number. It's diverse personalities with different ages, and we have a younger generation of people. We call them Gen Zs.
Yes.
And we always speak them.
Yes.
we always find a way of plugging them into the show.
Yes.
How do you guys? How are you able to manage their sort of because they're coming from a different age where things are done differently according to them, and there's millennials who do things a bit differently, and then there's their old geezers who have their own ways.
It's a changing world. It's a changing world. And if you don't listen to them, they will move on. I mean, movement for them is not the big deal. Sometimes not about salary. They talk about the culture. They want to understand culture. They want to work offline. They want flexi hours. You need to listen to this young gen, because if you don't, you lose them. There are some who work odd hours. For example, we had a transaction happening, and I was looking for this girl, and she was not around the office. She had left. But at about 1 o'clock, when I checked my phone, she had done the work. I don't know what time she did it, but she had delivered on it. Now, when I come in the morning, am I supposed to shout at her? No. She has delivered. I don't know when she did it, but she's delivered on the assignment. So we need to understand their various requirements, and we need to work with them. I mean, we, all our generations, have got a set of how we've always worked. It's not like that anymore. Things have really changed. So it's actually sometimes asked to change to what they are. But having said that, we are always so careful to tell them, look, don't go and sit at a bar and start doing a transaction, because you don't know whether there's a safe environment to deliver on that. You don't know whether there's someone who is able to log on to your system and be able to copy what you're doing or to know where it's going. Just make sure that wherever you're doing, where you're working from, is a safe environment in terms of Wi-Fi, in terms of connectivity, and to be able to deliver on the assignment. But as when you do it, it's none of my business. As long as you deliver on it, I'm quite happy. But that generation is very hard to work with. We are the ones to learn how to work with them, and not them how to work with us. Because them, it's like, I want to move, I want to do this, and we give them their space.
Yeah. So still on transitions, for about close to 100 years. I could be wrong. You'll correct me if I am. We've known this entity as HHM. And then somewhere along the way, we had Dentons. So probably you could tell us how the conversations were had, and how is the structure like? Is there a partnership board at Denton? How the structure is? Is it a subsidiary? And then what else was on my mind about that? And then is that the future of law firms?
Interesting. Over the years, we have had many discussions with many different law firms around the world in terms of working together and delivering on what clients need, because what clients require is actually their work being done in the most efficient manner. So Dentons, we were associate members of Dentons for many years. Associate member meant that you are not really a part of Dentons. It wasn't then known Dentons was Dentons while subbed. But closer to 2018, we had been having a conversation with the law firms from South Africa, but it was really an African law firm. We then got attracted to Dentons because part of the Dentons philosophy is that everybody remains independent. Wherever you are, you continue to run your law firm without anybody directing you on how to do it. The other law firm in South Africa was saying, we will run your law firm from Johannesburg. We will tell you who to hire, we'll tell you who to fire. And we decided, no, that's not something that we want to, because we are a Kenyan firm. And we can afford to be independent and still work with everybody. But then Dentons' philosophy is that you are independent, work from where you are, so long as certain level of efficiency, certain level of doing work is universal. There's no compromise on quality, there's no compromise on deliverables, there's no compromise on some of the things that clients are looking for. So that attracted us to Dentons because we will remain an independent Kenya law firm. In terms of leadership, we have the global Dentons leadership. And as you may know, it's a polycentric law firm in the sense that we don't have a headquarters. We can't say we're an English law firm or an American law firm or an Australian law firm. No, we are polycentric in the sense that we don't have a headquarters. Everybody, I can say my headquarters is Nairobi. We have a global leadership. We have a global chairman, we have a global CEO, and a board that runs the firm, putting the dots and connecting people and so on. So that is there. We then also have the African region practice. Right now is being driven by Noor, who's based in Cape Town, South Africa, but that looks after the Africa practice. The last meeting of the Africa practice was actually in our law firm in November last year, where you bring all the practitioners from around Africa to one central place and talk about business, talk about the synergies that we have, talk about the opportunities you have missed, talk about the opportunities that are available to be able to grow different sectors of the practice. So we had that discussion here, and by the time people leave, you leave knowing that we now have so-and-so in Tanzania, we have so-and-so in Zambia, we have so-and-so in South Africa, in Tunisia, in Nigeria, and so on, to ensure that when you have a situation in another country, it's a one phone call away. The Dentons' other attraction is that somewhere in the world, what you're trying to do has been done. What you're trying to do has been done in Bolivia or in Islamabad, so you can quickly go around and find that what you're trying to do has been done. All you have to do is localize it, and voila, you deliver on the assignment faster than a law firm that is wanting to do it now without having any background or without any help on how it's done or whether it's been done before. And if it's been done, what were the problems on deliverables and so on. So we have that which is very attractive. Sourcing, for example, for software programs, doing professional indemnity insurance. When you have more people users on Microsoft, you actually end up paying less because of the numbers. Professional indemnity insurance, again, when you pull it together as Africa, you get a better deal out of London or out of South Africa or wherever, and you have that it's a much better way to practice.
And is that the future of law firms around?
You can never, that is where the practice is going, in the sense that yes, you can remain a single practitioner sitting in Kisumu or in Nairobi, but clients are looking at diversity. Clients are looking at one-stop shop. One-stop shop means that whatever they're looking, whether it's tax, whether it's an M&A, whether it's a project finance, whether it's an energy project, they want to find it in one place. And the attraction for a large law firm is that we have diversity. We can offer the solution you're looking for. You don't have to go out of the law firm to look for what you're looking for. So that's where the future is. And the synergies in just making sure that you align yourself to think alike law firm, work alike law firm. Culture is a big thing. If your cultures can't match, then you know that work can go on. So for us, that is a big thing, yeah.
You had a matter with Oraro, right?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about how it ended?
Oh, clearly, since it's not that it didn't work well, but we learned a lot of what not to do and what to do. It was more of personalities, more than anything. My great friend George started the law firm, brought in other partners. We have a lot of respect for each other, but if something is not working, you decide it's not working. It didn't work. It was going to be a great partnership, but it didn't work. We regretted that it didn't work, and we had to have the divorce. And no, we're living happily thereafter.
So just on the area about Dentons, how are you guys, especially since you're a commercial practitioner, how are you positioning yourself into maybe emerging areas of practice? And maybe for the young advocate who's watching this, and the young practitioner, maybe you could maybe hint at some of the areas that young people can just plug in.
Yeah, over the years, we've seen a lot of changes in practicing law. The traditional areas have been banking, insurance, M&As, but now you look at it, that's a beaten track. People are talking about oil and gas. Oil and gas now, no one wants to do oil and gas because there are now emerging trends to move away from oil and gas and to look at green energy. So looking at new areas of practice, what I would advise any lawyer to, don't come and do this because Omwela is doing this. Can you diversify it? ESG. Why don't we try and move and learn more about ESG? But again, you find by the time you go to learn that the world has moved on. Right now, the biggest challenge, if you ask me, is artificial intelligence. How are lawyers dealing with artificial intelligence? If you don't find a way to integrate artificial intelligence in your practice, you're gone. Because some of the solutions we are providing to clients, they just log on to an AI platform and voila, they have an answer. So we need to continue to tell our lawyers, don't practice the traditional law you've always done. Find a niche. Climate change is now the talk of town. Everybody's talking about climate change. We know many clients who have had to cancel projects because they're not climate friendly. The coal projects, I know big coal projects in Tanzania, a bank has just walked away from it because they don't think that they look well financing a coal project. So we need to look at the new frontiers, so to speak. Where is the world going? And will you be there when the world is there? My favorite catchphrase when I talk to young lawyers is that if you smell coffee, you are late. If you smell coffee, somebody woke up, they put on the stove, they mix the coffee while you are asleep. Now, that's always my catchphrase when I talk to young lawyers. Always be ahead of the game. Be in the kitchen when you are beginning the stove. But if you find the coffee has been brewed, time is gone.
Yeah. I've learned something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the beauty of such shows.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let me just go back to Richard Omwela. You've been ranked Chambers and Partners, IFLR, OGW, of course.
Thank you.
How important is peer recognition, accolade to a practicing advocate?
It is something to be proud of because it's what your peers think about you. It's what you think about your work ethic, your integrity, and your respect. Because we see very many young lawyers who have no respect for age, they have no respect for their colleagues. What they want is they want their work done, but at what cost? So peer recognition, and when you're being ranked, it's not what you think about yourself, it's what the others think about you. So they give interviews about, you did a recent transaction, so and so, how do you feel with them? And there are others who we often say, if I was advising someone to go to a law firm, I wouldn't go to that law firm. Why? Because there's no work ethic, there's no integrity. When you get a transaction happening and you agree on the final document, only to find on the morning of the signature, that transaction has changed. Now, I mean, the documentation has been changed. That upsets the hell out of me because then where's work ethics? Where is the integrity? And we have had that situation with some law firms where before we sign off, we literally have to go through the entire document again, just to make sure overnight you haven't changed something. So respect amongst lawyers is continuing to diminish, so to speak. And I don't know where the rain started beating us, but we really need to rethink, because if I had a son or daughter wanting price law, I wouldn't advise them to do law, because I just don't see where the practice is going in terms of value and in terms of the ethics that we've always subscribed to as practitioners.
So do you see that on the senior side, mid side, or junior bar?
Mainly on the junior bar. The senior side, there's been respect, and that respect continues to be there. I have seen some junior lawyers even in court wanting to introduce their seniors. It has never happened. It has never happened. In our days, it was the senior most, even if he was acting for the defendant, is the senior lawyer to introduce everybody who is involved in that case. And not for the fact that you're acting for the plaintiff, yes, you will give the time to start your case. But in terms of recognition, it will be Ferris Norji saying, my lord, I appear for the defendant, and so appears for, and so and so, and then you can sit down, then you can start your case. But things have changed now. You find a junior lawyer attempting to introduce me, and they don't even know who I am. They've maybe seen or heard about me, but sometimes not. So that is mainly in the, so to speak, I know the majority just now, but yeah, the young lawyers, we're seeing a lot of that.
So just to get stuck at the area of accolades and recognition, we have litigators being recognized as senior counsels. And we have personalities like you who have done a lot for the profession. I mean, 40 years is it's a ridiculous number of years in practice and in a high pressure situation with a big vehicle. And from where I sit, probably the society does not give you enough flowers. So do you think its time is ripe to put in an AGM, what do you call them? Do you call them memorandum of petitions?
Yeah.
And say, you don't have to be a litigator for you to be a senior counsel. What are your thoughts on that?
Interesting, because none of the commercial senior lawyers have received that recognition. But again, when we think about it, it's about recognition in court when matters are called. So that if you're a senior counsel, you then, even if your matter is number 8 and my matter is number 1, the judge will ask you, senior counsel, what do you have before me? We'll see that as recognition more for the litigators. We felt bad about it, but no, I don't see that being a senior counsel will change the perception of a client on me, but it changes the perception of a client on a litigation lawyer, because the client say, oh, this is a top litigation lawyer. But for us in the M&A space, in banking and finance space, in project space, no, we do what we do, and having senior counsel after my name doesn't change that scenario at all. I'm not sure that I'll get a transaction because I'm a senior lawyer. I'll get a transaction because they have Googled, they have checked, and they believe that in that sector, they believe that the right person will be so and so, and they'll come to me because of that, but not because I'm senior counsel.
So, fun fact, I just realized and learned that at some point you were appointed to be a judge of the High Court, and you refused to be on the other side of life.
Yes.
Why? How did that come about?
That's one part of life that I've regretted having even got in that space. I got a call one day from the registrar of the High Court, who is now a Supreme Court judge.
We all know who that is.
My very good friend, William Oko. He asked me to go to his office. When I went to his office, he was working. I was expected. And he told me, by the way, we have decided to make you a judge. So I asked him, who has decided? He said, no, it has been decided. So, okay. So what you do, come here, we'll dress from here, we'll leave from here on Friday. This was Wednesday. We'll dress and leave from here to State House for swearing. So I asked him, do I have time to think about it? He said, no, you don't have time to think about it because it's been decided. So I asked him a couple of questions. How much are the judges paid? He said, you'll find out when you come. What other benefits? I've got a mortgage, I've got children go to school. How will I deal with that? He said, no, Richard, don't worry. You'll get by. So I said, okay, fine. So I left. And the time he had called me, I was working on something. And I told him, can I come later? He told me, no, just come a few minutes and be done. So I went back to the office. I was really, really upset. I hadn't applied for the job. They offered me a job. They don't want to tell me how much they're paid. They don't want to tell me what benefits go with it. I was really, really upset. So what did I do? Of course, I asked a couple of guys, and they all laughed at me. Oh, guys have just been kicked out, and they want you to go and fill at those places. Within a couple of months, you'll be on the street as well. So what I did, I dictated a letter to my secretary, to the Chief Justice then, Gisheru, declining the appointment. Then I got it delivered like fast speed messenger around the Chief Justice's office. Within a few minutes, he was on the phone. Fortunately, I was on my other phone. So the secretary walks in my office and says, Chief Justice on the line. So I'm not taking that call, because I knew the consequences of that. He'll tell me the president wants to see you. Now, if the president wants to see you, you cannot say no. So I knew the answer to that. So I told her, tell him I call him back. And of course, I didn't call him back. He then asked for my mobile phone. I had a mobile phone then. And I switched off my mobile phone and went to play golf. You know, on the golf course, they can't reach you. They had looked for me everywhere, including my house. They couldn't find me. By the time I got home, of course, it was past midnight and the list had been made, going for swearing. The only way I learned about it, Oman Omari, who was a reporter at Nation, was in school with me in Kakamega High, and he saw my name on the list with a white out. So he broke out and came and called me and said, we saw your name on the list and we didn't see you. So I did an interview for the Nation many years ago. But that was not a nice experience because, as I said, I didn't apply for it. And I don't know why I was being offered for a job I hadn't applied for.
Damn. Oh, we learn something new every day.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's talk about rugby.
Yes.
Did you play the sport?
Very little rugby, actually, because of my background. I just told you, Kakamega High was really known for soccer, not for rugby. So while we played a little bit of rugby, it wasn't really competitive rugby. Fast forward, come to Nairobi. Mean Machine had just been formed when I got to Nairobi. And again, guys from Lenana, Nairobi School, Saints, were all seasoned rugby players. So there's no way you could break into the rugby playing unit at uni, which was really a pity. But so I never really played for Machine. I would have loved to play for Machine. But I became an ardent Machine supporter, traveling on top of the bus to go. When there's no room inside, we jump on the rack of the bus and we go to KU to play or go wherever. Yeah, so that's how it all started. But again, fast forward, then joined Impala, became chairman of Impala. Before I knew it, got myself into the mainstream rugby.
So at some point you are chairman of Impala?
I chaired Impala 92 to 96, yeah. Impala, the main club, not the rugby side, yeah. But it had a big rugby playing unit, yes.
Yeah. And you decided to go to politics?
I didn't decide to go to politics, rugby. Those days, again, it was a small clique of enthusiasts who were running the game. Again, what happened is people look at you, they're wanting to do a fundraiser for rugby. And they know you work for a large law firm with connects to corporates, and they decide, let's co-opt Richard. I think he might open some doors for us. Before I knew it, I was on the board of Kenya Rugby Union. Before I knew it, I was secretary of the union. Before I knew it, I was chairman of the union. My God, I mean, that's how it happened. And
it was during your tenure where we won the Singapore Sevens.
I won the Singapore Sevens in 2016 with the late Ben Aimba, who was my coach, my captain, and my player at Impala. So that was quite something, because we had been coming very close, and we knew it was just a question of time before we could break into the top. But unfortunately, we've been relegated now, so we're working back to see whether we gain the series.
Do you have any regrets about your term there, especially the second term, how it ended?
No, it ended well because I opted not to stand for re-election. If there was a lot of pressure that I should stand again, but rugby was becoming synonymous with me, to the point where people would go to the union looking for Richard Omwela. They thought I was the CEO of the union. Then they're told, sorry, no, he doesn't work here. So where does he work? He's a lawyer in town. And corporates will be like, oh, no wonder this place is running well. If we have a lawyer running this thing, then it's good. So yeah, it's been quite a journey for me. But I opted not to run in 2017, and that's why Gangla then ran for the union. I would have, but again, there's a law that had just come in that changed how many times you can do. I think it's 4 and 4, and that's it. So I had done my time and decided not to go in again.
Let's talk about your other love, Rotary.
Yes.
Seated here, we are two Rotarians, and I just realized that you chartered my club.
Yes.
Yes, and you chartered our Westlands.
Yes.
So when did the bug to do community service come from? Or rather, how did you start having these conversations about getting to Rotary? And also, demystify Rotary, because there are people who do not understand what Rotary is.
A group of corporate guys wanted to set up a club known as Westlands. There were CEOs for banks, finance institutions, insurance, but then they decided, oh, come on, we need a lawyer as well. Can we get a couple of lawyers onto Rotary? We were then at ICA building, and the guy said, no, but there's this guy down here, Richard, can we call him? I became then a charter member of Rotary Club of Westlands in 1991. I chaired the club in 1999, became assistant governor in 2007, became governor 2016, covering Kenya, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Eritrea. It is really a concept of giving back to society, because yes, we are lawyers, but are we really giving back to society? We all come from society, we live in societies. How best can you give back to society? Yes, people do harambes for projects. They don't know after the harambe whether the project will work or not. We in Rotary, we look at the community and we ask the community, what are your needs? What are your needs? And we then see how we can help them achieve those needs. When as governor, for example, I went to a club in Limuru, and these Rotarians had decided that this community needed toilets. And so they built toilets for them and moved away. A year later, they went to see whether the toilets are used. They found that the toilets had been converted into stores. They had just covered the hole, and they were storing grain. The need of that community was no toilets, and they told them, by the way, without eating, we can't use the toilets. So you go in the community, you learn what their needs are, and you try and help. And it's such a feeling. It gives you such a sense of being a human being when you have helped another human being. In my life, I have seen changes. Many years ago, as a Rotarian, I was in Shags, and I was about to drive Nairobi when my mom told me, there's a family out here, they really want to talk to you. What I didn't know is that she had told them, I'm home. This kid had been admitted to go to Musingu, and they needed 8,000 bob school fees for a whole year, and they didn't have it. And they'd been given a deadline within which to pay. Believe it or not, I gave them my fuel money. I had a Dyna's card. You didn't know what Dyna's card was. So I came back with my Dyna's card on fuel. Fast forward, that kid became a doctor. He's a surgeon now. And every time I meet him, he tells me, if it wasn't for you, I would never have been here. What can I do for you? So I keep telling him, do something to someone else and never ask for it back. Just do good to one person. It doesn't have to be many people. And that's how we Rotarians work. We change lives, we change communities in which we live, and we don't want reward. When you see polio campaigns happening in the country, we Rotarians are driving the polio campaigns, but we're not asking for recognition. We do it because we believe it's the right thing to do, and we think we're helping communities. So for people out there listening and wondering, what is Rotary all about? Rotary is about changing lives, working in communities, and not asking for reward for what we do worldwide, whether it's here, whether it's in Guatemala, whether it's in India. And we have a foundation, which is the largest foundation in the world, which collects money and is able to help countries do their projects and so on. So if you're not a Rotarian, please find out about Rotary and join a Rotary club.
Yeah, everyone should join a Rotary club. You mentioned that you're playing golf. earlier on. For how long have you played?
I'm not the greatest golfer. Let's start from there. Golf is quite a time spent. You need to dedicate time to play the sport. If, for example, you are teeing off on Members' Day on Thursday, that Thursday is spent because you finish the golf, you go to hole number 19, before you know it, the day is gone. So I do social golf. I don't play competitive golf. When it's time to play, I play. If I can't, I call you and say, sorry, I can't play. So I wouldn't say that is something I want to spend my time on. Having said that, I got a client because of golf. This client had a golfer who was a lawyer, and he had flown into the country to do a transaction. When he called the lawyer told him he has a family commitment, he can't meet him that day. So the guy said, look, I only have tomorrow and then I have to fly out. The guy said, tomorrow we can do it. Tomorrow we can't do it, but next day, first in the morning, we'll do it. So the client got frustrated and decided to look for a club where he can play golf for the day. He found a golf and he found his friend on the tee. And that was the end. He took off his gloves and started looking for a lawyer. He found me, and that's been a good story as well.
So you don't have a handicap?
No, because I just play social golf, yeah.
So in all this journey, you also sit in a number of boards. Quite a number of. I've seen once I Google your name, they're all going to come out. So and as chairman,
yes,
right. And there's some of the most successful entities that I've seen. What value do you think lawyers bring into such entities that are not part of the legal practice traditionally, but their legal aspects and experiences that you take to them? What are some of the things that you think lawyers can help the society and the communities and the business side of this country?
Very true. I chair the boards of WPP Scan Group. I chair the board of NAS Airport Services. I chair the board of a bank, ABC Bank. I chair the board of Octagon Africa Financial Services. Until recently, I was chairing the board of Monarch Insurance. And all these boards, when I'm called to join as a member, I don't know how it ends up that I end up being the chairman. Having said that, it's really, lawyers are problem solvers. I mean, we are trained to solve other people's problems. It is that value addition you bring to the board that endures the board to lawyers, because every organization has got employee issues, it has contractual issues, it has got things that they don't know how to go around them, but the lawyer will find a solution, because ours is to find solutions to people's problems. In fact, I've always joked that the worst clients are the ones who give you a problem on a Friday, because they then go on with their social life, but you have a problem, think about how to solve their problem. So you end up messing your whole weekend because you have to solve the client's problem. So it is that value addition that we bring to the table to various boards to show them how to do things differently, how to solve the issues, whether they are HR issues, whether contractual issues, whether they are, every sector has got its own challenges. So that is the value we add to the table for corporates, and also bringing the corporate governance culture to many of these boards, particularly smaller companies where corporate governance doesn't exist. We bring the culture of corporate governance, because you will succeed or fail because of your governance. Here, I've offered to retire as senior partner. I would have decided to go on with it, but is it the right thing? No, it's not the right thing, because how about the ones who are coming through the system? Will they ever think that they can reach where I am? Because if I decided to stay on, I can stay on for another 5 years. But how about the young ones who want to come through? That's also the culture we find in many organizations where people have been there and they don't want to change. And as we talked about change earlier, if you don't change, change will change you, as they always say. And we talked about the young generation. In many of these organizations, we are finding the young generation in there, and managing them the way I told you earlier is to make sure you understand them. If you don't understand them, then they can't even work. For example, WPP is a company about communication, about branding, and so on. These kids have got so much information on what they want. All of a sudden, we're no longer buying billboards. No one reads how you're in the car. When will you read a billboard? Everything is gone on social. So they're the ones who are bringing those ideas. No, we can do this differently. No. The young generation don't watch TV. Do you know, this year people don't watch TV. They watch TV when Arsenal is playing. But after that, no. So advertising used to be on newspapers, used to be on radio. They don't listen to radios anymore. So that is the change that we see happening now in organization. And as a lawyer, you need to pick up that very quickly and tell an organization, hey, smell the coffee, as I said earlier on, yeah.
And of course, doing all these things, there's always the anchor. And to many people, the anchor is always the family. Maybe you could tell us about your family.
It's sometimes not easy to talk about family because it's private. But for me, no, it's never been private, because when you go in rugby, you realize that you're no longer a private person. You become a public entity. In fact, people think they own you. So yes, married to Dorothy. We have 2 other children. My son is a pilot. Jeff is a pilot. My daughter is an architect. Both of them, thank God, they didn't want to do law. She's based in Melbourne, Australia. Jeff is here in Nairobi. Finding time for them is very, very important. This Christmas, we flew to Bahrain. I'm sure when I'm telling my friends Bahrain, they're asking me, what the hell would you be doing in Bahrain? You know, Kenyans, all they want to do is go to Dubai. They don't want to find new frontiers. So my daughter decided, look, I'll fly from Melbourne, you fly from Kenya, and we all meet in Bahrain. We spent 10 days together, and that's really quality time, because they're no friends, you know. You're going anywhere, you go together, you're doing anything, you do together, and then you begin to understand your family, what are the expectations, because as we grow up in corporate life, we find we have less and less time for family until there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect between us and the family, because we never sit together, we never eat together, we never travel. All of a sudden, we're finding ourselves spending the whole day together. From when we wake up, we decide what we're having breakfast, where we're going, which mall we're going to, and who is going to buy what. And it is quite refreshing to do that when you're in corporate life, to make sure that the anchor in family is important, because that's really what supports you. And most of the time I tell people, can you imagine when you don't feel like going back home? You've had a bad day at the office, but you still have to go home. And then you think about home, and you think about your wife. Maybe by the time you left, you're not in a speaking. And what do Kenyans do? They end up in the bar, because that's where they spend time before they finally end up home. No, family is critical in being successful and being who you are, and bringing the best in you in terms of even sometimes just asking for advice. I'm being asked to do this, what do you think? When I was to be a judge, one of the people I asked was my son. Supposing I become a judge, what do you think? No, Dad. No, those askaris will come and sit here with their guns, and my friends can't come into our house. You know, that sort of conversation. You have them with the family, and you get to see it's a good thing to have, but they don't actually like it. So no. I don't think it's a nice thing. So it's good to make sure that you carry the family along with you. So
being a senior partner, sitting at boards, being a Rotarian, what else? What else do you do? Having been at KRU presidency, where does Richard get the time to do all these things?
Yeah, I've been asked that many times. It's important people understand. And people who fail are those who do not want to delegate. First thing is to delegate responsibilities, to make sure that you are not the one and only person that can do something. The other thing is to plan. If you can't plan, then clearly you will not achieve what you want to do. There was a year when I was being interviewed for governor of Rotary. One of the things they said, Richard, we don't think you have time for this. You're a chairman of rugby, you're managing partner at Hamilton, you sit on this board, you sit on this board. How are you going to be a governor of Rotary? Because this is a full-time job. I told them I'll find the 13th hour. Out of 12 hours a day, I'll find the 13th hour. And they asked me, what do you mean by that? I will find time for it. I'll find time for it because I never want to take on a responsibility that I cannot deliver. And one of my cardinal principles in life is never ask somebody to do something that you yourself cannot do. Don't tell me to go on a project that you yourself cannot go to that project. Don't ask me to give to the foundation of Rotary International when you are not giving the foundation. So I became a major donor of the foundation when I was governor.
Congrats.
And it was because when I travel, I want to ask people to donate. And when they hear I've donated $10,000 to the foundation, they say, okay, if he's asking for 1,000, I think we can give. But never ever ask people to donate when you can't. So time management is critical in all these that we do. My best board is actually NAS Airport Services. Directors flying from Paris for meetings when we were having physical meetings. They'll come on the Air France out of Charles de Gaulle, arrive at 5 in the morning, shower, by 7 they're ready for a meeting. They finish the day with that meeting and they're gone. Now that's time management. So by 7 o'clock I have to be there to chair the meeting. By about 11 they're done, then they can go on and do management issues and back to the office to work. So it's about finding time for everything you want to do, but don't take on responsibility when you know you will not deliver, when you know you don't have the time. And as I said earlier on, never fail to delegate, never fail to see that the value in people who can help you to achieve what you're doing. Yes, you take the ultimate glory. A good example is when I was chairman of Kenya Rugby. I'm a signatory to the account. I'm supposed to sign off checks. I told my treasurer, if I see your signature on that check, I will sign it. I will not even look at a document because it's not my job. But come the AGM, when a question is being asked about finance and what we did with the money, my friend, I'll throw you under the bus. I'll throw you because you made me sign. You should have checked. That's your job. It's not my job. So delegating things like that helps you to manage your life better, help you different portfolios, because if you want to do it alone, you can't.
So let me shamelessly plug myself here. Will you come and speak to Rotary Muthaiga?
Absolutely. As I said, Muthaiga is a club that we actually founded. And I'd be happy to come back and talk to them. Trustee Gita is a past governor. Her husband is a past governor. And we had Patrick Obath is a governor. You guys are just full of governors. That's why I said while we formed Muthaiga, you have actually been more successful than us in many ways. So I'll be happy to have a chat, so long as you give me the topic, what we want to talk about, and happy to come.
Perfect. Do you know who's the guy responsible for bringing in guests?
No, I don't.
It's the guy who's sitting here.
Okay. So you just got your weekly guest.
I just got my weekly guest.
Well done.
So last question.
Sure.
As we began the show, we began about you transitioning. And in these parts of the world, not only in law firms, but in many leadership positions, we don't experience such kind of transitions. Guys are hell-bent on dying wherever it is that you're working until something happens and then you can go. Now, and this is a reverse mentorship because many times you talk about mentorship and you only think that it's only for young advocates. Now, for guys in the mid bar and the senior bar, in terms of transition, what advice would you give them?
Good question. Whether I'm a 1-year admitted lawyer, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, we go through a basic training as lawyers. So you can never say I'm better because I'm older. I always want to be that guy who recognizes that someone else can also do this job. And I gave an example of Kenya Rugby. I didn't have to run for the position. In leadership, it's the same thing. Never ever think that you are the only one who can do it. Always know that the other one is trained like you. We went to the same schools, and also sharing responsibility. By the way, now I'll afford to come in at 9 o'clock because as senior partner, there are certain things that you must sign if your managing partner is not there. If you're not there, they won't happen because you haven't signed off on them. Now, I'll have the luxury of coming in at 9 or 10 now and not being called because there's a crisis for me to deal with. Not that I won't be there, but someone else is having to do that. Not that we're forcing them, but he has voluntarily said, yes, I'll do it. So in terms of leadership, I think it's important for people to know you may be the one, but there are others who can also do this. I always give a class example. If you have 40 rooms in a room, 40 fools in a room and set an exam, one will be number one.
Yeah.
40 of them in one room. So there's always ability to lead in whatever situation, and we want to recognize that so that people can see opportunities are there for me to rise and to be the senior partner in the firm. Right now, our partnership is below 40. Most 8 of our 14 partners below 40 now. That's a great thing in terms of transitioning and making sure that the young people can also see opportunities to lead the firm, and not that people who are there will be there forever. Adil Kawaja, my managing partner, has been at it for 12 years, and he has also requested to transition so that we can allow someone else to come in, and we'll be making that announcement as the time comes to show again that there's no vacuum. We have leadership abilities within the firm.
What do you do for fun?
I watch football. I watch lots of rugby.
Manu? Which team?
Manu, of course.
Damn it.
I know.
Yeah? Had you said that before the interview too?
I know. I know. Manu, I mean, let's not even go there. I travel a lot. Because of rugby, because of Rotary, sometimes I'm being asked, where haven't you been, and not where I've been. I've traveled the world because of rugby, because of Rotary. It's where I haven't been, not where I have been. So, yes, I've, like as I told you earlier, Bahrain. How many Kenyans actually know where Bahrain is or been to Bahrain? We decided we're going to Bahrain. And it's quite an experience when you travel and meet different people in different parts of the world. It is exciting, and I love that.
Nevo, tumemaliza.
Shukran.
Look at that camera and say Wakili quick one.
Wakili, quick one. Asante sana.
Switched off.
Ah.
Yeah. Do you have a pen? I had a pen in my jacket.
Oh, we sign off on this?
Yes.
Ah.
Do you have a pen here?
Do I know some of the signatures?
Most likely. If you've watched, you can. I'm so sure you can see Chacha's signature.
Where? Okay.
Yes. So we sign on this sheet.
Ah. So where do I sign? Just
anywhere. Just pick a random.
You know, my signature has been known for many years, so I'm sure many people will recognize that wherever they see it.
Thank you.
Shukran.
Thank you.
Okay.